Hey everyone, welcome back to Journey with PKD. So, last time we talked about the journey and why seeing your life as a journey can be very helpful. And I thought it fitting to take the next step and talk about being the hero of your own story, to be the hero of your own journey, your own quest, and why it's important to view yourself from that perspective, how it can be very beneficial to take on the hero aspect of your own life. First and foremost, we should state that there are many different types of heroes. We have reluctant heroes, like in the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson's character, who refuses to fight until he's reached a limit. We have ambitious heroes, like Luke Skywalker, who want to take on the whole galaxy himself, right, and just do it. We have different shapes and sizes, everything from Frodo Baggins to the Iron Giant. We have everyday heroes, like in The Night of the Museum, or fighter pilots like in Top Gun. We have our superheroes like in the Avengers or the Justice League. Take your pick of all types of heroes and their differences. We have religious heroes of all the spiritual traditions and faiths in the world. We have political heroes or military heroes, whether it's Winston Churchill or Audie Murphy and Gandhi, or different people from all walks of life that have lived throughout history and have inspired us. And this is true for heroines as well, ladies. So we've got our Joan of Arcs in real life. We have our Marion Ravenwoods in Indiana Jones, our Laura Crofts, Wonder Woman, Ripley, Sarah Connor. We've got all sorts of heroines as well. So it's a wide tapestry to pick from, and it's pretty inclusive with as wherever you want to go in whatever culture. But I think a great takeaway from my perspective in viewing yourself as the hero of your own story is that, again, there's a very profound element to seeing your life that way. If you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, he did a series called Power of Myth when I was but a wee lad, and that completely blew me away about why we tell stories and why the stories worth telling are the ones that involve a journey. And typically, a hero journey, a hero's quest, is one that you engage in. But there's a very, very deep aspect to it that involves your soul. And this is where I'd like to bring in the topic of alchemy, which, for those who aren't familiar, may think of it as the strange, peculiar process of taking a base metal like a lead or a copper and trying to transmute it into a precious metal like silver or gold. But what's interesting is that there is a deep spiritual perspective when it comes to alchemy, which is taking a base nature, a wild nature, if you will, an undomesticated nature, and transmuting it into something that is divine and sublime, reaching for the higher. And this is what any good heroic story will have an element of. It'll have that at its base, a transformation process happening. At least the good stories do. And it's probably why we don't relate to characters who are fully finished and have nothing to grow with, or no journey to be had, right? The Mary Sues of the world, where we watch a movie and go, that person was already powerful, had no flaws, had no anything, and just had nothing to learn. No short-sightedness or characteristics that needed to change. But we very much so relate to that adventure and journey of somebody who is taking from point A and on this ride, on this journey, this full circle to a transformation process. But it very much so involves your participation. So though the heroic story is about, and a heroic adventure is about rising to the task and challenges and overcoming, it's not for the egoic purposes that most people may think, to be victorious, to win the thing. It's actually about an engagement with your reality that is one of a higher dimension, one that makes you a better person in the end, and that there are no shortcuts that can be had with this sort of thing. In fact, if you try to hack the system in a certain way, you will fall short. And those darker sides, or your shadow element of your personality, will start to start to come out, whether you have powers or you don't. A great example of this is in the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire ones, where there's a scene, he just finished wrestling for money. He was trying to raise money. He doesn't get paid what he thinks he should have. And the gentleman he's talking to says, it's not my problem that he's only going to get paid what he's getting paid. And he leaves sad. He leaves the room sad where he was going to get paid. And then a robber comes in and assaults the guy with the money, ends up stealing it from him, and runs past Spider-Man. And Spider-Man just steps to the side and lets him go. And the guy even says, thanks for helping. And the gentleman that Spider-Man was just talking to, Peter Parker was talking to, comes back out and says, what are you doing? You could have stopped him. We know you're a fighter too. And he said, I missed the part where that's my problem. And he's got this like sly grin, I love how the director kept that when the elevator closes. He's got this kind of maliciousness to it, like, not my problem. Turns out that person, if you remember the movie, ends up being the one who shoots and kills his beloved Uncle Ben. And he realizes in that moment it's his fault, that he could have done something about it. So the idea of with great power comes great responsibility is a growing thing. It's not something that you just get off the bat. He had to go through some terrible things, but there was a engagement that was called for him to do this with the very nature that he has powers in general, that he was called into a bigger world, a bigger dimension, a bigger reality that he was stepping into, whether he wanted to or not. And a part of him battled with that. And you see that a lot in superhero movies, especially. They battle with their powers. Should they use them? How can they use them? First, they might try to get the things that they always wanted, like Shazam a little bit, where you just start doing the things. Hey, I can do this, I can move, I can jump, I can do my homework fast, I can do whatever it may be. But ultimately it doesn't serve any purpose. So the real takeaway I'd like for you guys to think about, comment on, and ponder is that it's an engagement with your reality that has a certain quality to it. Doesn't mean you have to be a superhero. In fact, movies and books and etc. have a way of condensing and highlighting and exaggerating certain elements because we need to get it all within 2 hours, right? So that you can see highlights, the highs and the lows, and all these things within a 2-hour span, but we don't live in 2-hour spans. And so most often than not, we have problems with the little things in life: procrastination, lack of motivation, not doing the things that we set out to do, the little quirks and such that hold us back. But at the same time, realizing that those little quirks and intricacies that are tailor-made for your life are also the challenges that can spark your heroic quest for you to go on an adventure that expands yourself and makes you not only a better person to yourself and a higher quality of being, but also one that benefits the community at large. Every single heroic story done well has that element of it wasn't just for their purposes. In fact, that selfless element that you see is one of the most endearing qualities. When we see an Iron Man who starts off very selfishly, doing things very much for his own reasons, becomes somebody who makes the ultimate selfless sacrifice in the end, in Endgame, and sacrifices his life. So we don't have to necessarily do something so stupendous, but when we realize that the little things that we're taking on can be heroic, we enhance that dynamicness in our life, and we begin to embark on that quest. And when you do it intentionally, your world can change. So whether you wake up in the morning and you need some motivation to work out, you can think of Rocky and get your heart on fire to go do that. If you are taking down a bully, you can think of Captain America and how you can do this all day. And even if you're ambitious, if you're Luke Skywalker and you think you're ready, but you're the Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker, or not necessarily the fully formed one. Ben, 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 I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Ready are you? And you bump your head because you're kind of past your skis a little bit. You can recognize, oh, I'm in that part of my heroic journey. But I think it's important at the end to kind of recap that you see your life, that you see yourself as the hero of your own story for the important aspect number one of transmuting your base nature, wherever you are, into something higher, of a more rich quality and just a depthness to it that I think all of our lives are asking for in the end. We know something is inherently wrong with just being stagnant wherever we are, even if it's good. We know something might not be right about that. And so the reminder to engage with it, not for the egoic reasons, which again, you will fall from grace. That will happen. You can do what Spidey did and make mistakes, which is also part of it. But they're reminders. They're these little breadcrumbs that we follow that can help us on our path. So hopefully this has been helpful to take away that notion and idea that you must be engaged in that. You can't be a secondary part in your own transformational process. You can't. It doesn't really work that way. In fact, you wouldn't want it that way. You wouldn't want to cheat the system where it's about authentic growth, this integrable process itself. You wouldn't want to cheat that. You wouldn't want to cheat yourself out of that. You wouldn't want to have it any other way, actually. No matter how big the problems and challenges are, you wouldn't want to skimp on that. And nor are the forces going to let you. Now, counter to that, the dark forces really don't want you engaging with your own life. They really don't want you picking up your shield and sword and going at it. They really want you just at a malaise, clued into whatever Netflix show you're watching, maybe getting the heroic elements, but not doing anything about it. Just continue watching and consuming and consuming and consuming. But don't change your life in any way. No. Stay where you are. Don't engage in the actual quest. In fact, there's efforts to pervert the quest and twist it, and there's a lack of all sorts of things for another topic for another time. But remember to take it on, that you can do this, and that it's ultimately beneficial, not just for you, but for your families, for your friends, and for the community at large, for the world itself. You really do end up saving the world in a sense when you save, and I don't mean from a soul salvation standpoint, but it can be similar and akin to that because only the divine can do that. But when you really decide that, yeah, with great power, this potential that's within me, that's what power is, comes great responsibility. And I do have a little bit more say in this than I thought. I cannot be a side character in my own story. So there you have it. Hopefully this has been beneficial. Click the like, subscribe to the channel, continue on the journey, and comment below about what your aspects are, where you've fallen short, where you think this has worked, can work. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't, or maybe just a reminder, and share your thoughts below. So thank you so much, and wherever you are, Godspeed, take care, and hopefully you're enjoying your journey. Peace.